Row for Show Productions presents Humble Beginnings, the Undrafted podcast. Welcome to Humble Beginnings, the Undrafted podcast. I'm your host, Rochelle Hamilton Jr., and I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to tune into this podcast. Thank you to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing me with the gifts, the talents, and the resources to do this podcast. This is episode 45 of the podcast. I cannot believe we have made it to 45 episodes, man. It's such a blessing. It is such a blessing to be on this platform and be able to interact with you in this manner. Got a good podcast for you today. We're going to be talking about, it's basically straight basketball on this episode of the Undrafted podcast. Man, the Houston Rockets, if you ask me, the Houston Rockets are the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors. And I know a lot of people may look at me crazy when I say that, but I love what the Houston Rockets are doing right now. James Harden and CP3 and all those boys, they are balling out down in H-Town. I love what the Rockets are doing. So to me, if you ask me, the Houston Rockets are the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors, and I'll tell you exactly why in the Low with Row. And I'm in and I'm out. Man, it seems like it's open season on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers, man. Everybody and their mama is coming at LeBron James and the Lakers with all the smoke, man. It's ridiculous. Some of it is warranted and some of it is not. And what's the wave with Chef Ro Daddy? Man, you know, since I've been on this whole fitness thing and, you know, losing this weight and everything else and being consistent with it, I've learned a lot of lessons. And, you know, a lot of it is through trial and error. But, man, you know, I've heard so many things when it comes to diets and nutrition. And there's a lot of myths out there, and there's a lot of things that you have to look out for when it comes to diet and nutrition advice when you're trying to get your body back in balance and trying to lose weight and body fat. So I'm going to dispel some of those myths and give you some things to look out for when it comes to that. And this is some bull jive. Man, there's a lot of NBA fans that are coming at these NBA players acting like they want all the smoke, when in reality, if they saw these athletes on the street face to face, they wouldn't say two words to him. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this podcast with The Low with Ro. James Harden. Man, look, James Harden's adding on to his MVP season. Now, he was 33, 8, and 10 against the Atlanta Hawks on Tuesday night. Then he goes and he lays 57 on the Grizzlies on Wednesday night. Now, I love what I'm seeing from the Houston Rockets squad right now. Now, I said on here a few weeks back that the Houston Rockets are the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors right now, and I still believe that. And here's the thing. It all begins and ends with James Harden, basically. Now, this brother has scored at least 30 points on every single NBA squad this season. He has 26 40-point games and 7 50-point games this season. Now, he broke Steph Curry's three-point attempt in a season record on Tuesday night against the Hawks when he came into the game having 879 attempts and he left with 890 attempts. And we still have 10 games left to go in the regular season. Now, he could possibly hit the 1,000 attempt mark by playoff time. It's kind of unlikely, but it is possible. So I would love to see if he can do that. Now, what I want to see even more is if he's able to beat the three-point record held by Ray Allen before he retires. Ray Allen has 2,973 three-pointers in his career. James Harden, he's 10 years in the league, so it is definitely possible. If he stays on this pace, he might actually be able to shatter that record held by Ray Allen. And then when you look at how the Rockets play, they're a lot like Golden State in the fact that the Rockets, they tend to live and die by the three-point shot. But for me, the thing that's given Houston the best chance right now to do some real damage in the playoffs is the fact that they're finally healthy and full strength. Now, if they can stay healthy and keep guys like Chris Paul, especially Chris Paul, if they can keep guys like him healthy and humming, the Houston Rockets are going to make some noise come the postseason. Now, you remember last year how they had Golden State sweating last season before CP3 got hurt, and even after that, they hung in there with Golden State all the way to Game 7 of the conference finals. And if you ask me and a whole lot of other people, if CP3 is healthy for that entire series, there's a really good chance that we're talking about the Houston Rockets going against the Cleveland LeBrons in the NBA Finals last year. And there's a really good chance that the Rockets would have beaten the Cavaliers last year because it was just LeBron and, you know, 4 other guys in that finals. Now, as a result of Houston finally being fully healthy and at full strength, Mike D'Antoni is starting to rest guys on a rotation because of the Rockets being at full strength, which is needed. Now, this is needed especially for James Harden because Mike D'Antoni, he's a really good coach. Like, I'm not taking anything from him, but he tends to lean on one player to do all the heavy lifting, much like he did with James Harden for a large chunk of the year. Because as the season went on, I was kind of starting to look at it, especially when James Harden was on that streak of like 32 games where he was scoring, 30 points in a row. I was starting to look at it like, man, if Houston keeps James Harden on this pace, there's a really good chance he's going to be spent come playoff time. But now you've got CP3, he's playing hot at the right time. PJ Tucker, he's straight up balling. Eric Gordon, Austin Rivers, all those boys right now in the Rockets are balling. But then they've got their G League guy, Daniel House Jr. Now, he's come along nice for the Rockets this season. Now, House has 12 games in for Houston this season with more than 27 points. In those games, he's averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal in each game. Now, in those 12 games, the Rockets are 10-2. House is proven to be a good shooter, and in today's NBA, it's almost impossible to have too many good shooters, but he's also good at challenging and getting rebounds on defense too. Now, the Rockets, they're third right now in the West behind Golden State and Denver, respectively. On top of the fact, though, that I'm not really sure Golden State is themselves right now, because Golden State, man, it seems like something's off with this squad. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be, easy for anybody to beat them in the finals. I still don't see anybody beating Golden State, but Golden State just isn't the right team. Something's off kilter with this team. I don't know if it's, maybe it's Kevin Durant's pending free agency. Maybe that's weighing on him real heavy in the locker room. I don't know if it's the rift between Draymond and KD. A while back, I don't know if that's fully resolved. I don't know if that's fully healed. I don't know if that's having some effect, but whatever the fact is, Golden State, they just don't seem like the same squad right now. It seems like something's off with them. And then when you sit back and you consider the fact that it is extremely, extremely hard to go for a three-peat. I mean, it's hard to go back-to-back, but it's even harder to go for the three-peat. So, for me, those reasons right there, it seems like Golden State can be had. Now, it's going to be extremely tough because that's the most talented team in NBA history. But me personally, I don't think it's impossible to knock Golden State off their kilter. I really don't. So with all that being said, folks may look at me like I'm crazy when I say this, but the Houston Rockets, they are the biggest threat to the Golden State Warriors right now. All right, let's move on to I'm in and I'm out. Bruh, it is open season on LeBron James and the Lakers. Everybody is coming at LeBron James and the Lakers. I mean, there's been criticism of LeBron not playing defense, the criticism for them missing the playoffs, the reports of Lakers ownership considering trading LeBron, which I personally don't believe, and a whole bunch of other nonsense surrounding LeBron James and the Lakers recently. And let me just say first off that I'm 100% out on all this nonsense. I mean, listen, folks need to put some respect on LeBron James' name. I mean, people act like LeBron just all of a sudden came to LA and then he just turned into this bum. Like, everybody knew that the Lakers roster was not a competitive one before LeBron got there. They only won 35 games last season. Now, we knew that the West was too tough for LeBron to come to the Lakers, be able to take them to the finals with a roster full of players that didn't really mesh well, and that wasn't the most talented group from the jump. Now, most of us didn't see the Lakers missing the playoffs altogether, but we knew that even if the Lakers made the playoffs, they weren't going to get very far. And even with the Lakers missing the playoffs, this doesn't mean anything for LeBron's legacy. Like, there's people starting to, act like LeBron's legacy is just taking this huge hit because they're missing the playoffs and this and that and the other. This doesn't have any effect whatsoever on LeBron's legacy. Now, sure, when it comes to LeBron has made his mistakes this season. This is not to absolve LeBron of any criticism or anything else, because some of it has been fair, some of it's been warranted. Now, when he makes his mistakes, he deserves criticism for it. But some of this stuff is just some straight up BS. A lot of people tend to overlook the injuries that the Lakers had this year. Like, injuries bit the Lakers hard this year. They were eviscerated by injuries. LeBron missed all those games with the groin injury, which that groin injury still seems like it's bothering him. I still don't think he's 100% healthy. He still looks iffy at times when he's on the court. Then you had Rondo. He missed all those games. I mean, there was a lot of dudes that missed games due to injury this year. The trade deal that didn't happen, the trade deal, that basically wrecked this team from the inside out. And if you ask me, I mean, that was a straight up 100% disaster. Me personally, I think New Orleans leaked the details of that trade deal specifically to mess up the chemistry of the Los Angeles Lakers. Because, you got Anthony Davis, who had came out and said, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm not going to sign any extension, and made it publicly known that he wanted to go to the Lakers. So to me, it looked like the New Orleans Pelicans did that out of spite. It's like, okay, well, let's leak all the details of this trade and let's really wreck the chemistry and pay the Lakers back and wreck the chemistry, or do whatever we can to pay them back and make it miserable for them. Because, man, that locker room hasn't been the same since all that went down. This team hasn't been the same since all that went down. And the thing is, teams discuss trade negotiations all the time across every professional sports league. Trades are discussed all the time, but it's almost unheard of for the full details to be released like they were in this particular situation. And then when it comes to LeBron, LeBron has done a lot of great things when it comes to his fellow NBA players. He's made them realize their power and their leverage when it comes to these contracts and their rights. And owners and GMs hate that, because if it's one thing professional sports teams are good at, it's basically letting players know that they have all the leverage. And it's basically, making it look like to the fans that the team is always going to do what's in the best interest of the team and this and that and the other. And it's funny how that works out when it's a move that's made in the best interest of the team, nobody says anything. But the minute a player starts realizing his rights and the things that are afforded to him and his leverage, all of a sudden it's a problem. And LeBron James has done a really good job of letting fellow NBA players know, hey, you have more leverage than you think. You have more rights than you think when it comes to contracts and when it comes to contracts and things like that. So he's opened the door, or opened his fellow NBA players' eyes when it comes to the business side of the NBA. And a lot of owners and GMs, they hate that. Now, like I said, LeBron, he's not blameless in this, not at all. Now, he's made his mistakes, but let's not act like his reign as king is over. He's taken a step back this year because of the way everything has played out, but LeBron James is still the best basketball player in the world. He's still the king at the end of the day. And all this blasphemy that people are putting on his name is treason. If you're going to blaspheme the king, it's straight up treason. Like, I love LeBron. Y'all know I love LeBron on this podcast. And another thing, let's not act like that just because the Lakers missed the playoffs this year, that it's like just this full-blown crisis. Kobe Bryant missed the playoffs the last few years of his career, and nobody said anything. So, basically, the sky is not falling. And I'm really tired of all the criticism and the nitpicking and the pettiness that's coming out with all this. You got, I can't even remember his name. You got homeboy who was criticizing LeBron for where he sat at on the Lakers bench last week. Really, come on now. Is that where we're at right now? That's just straight up nonsense and straight up petty to me. Stop criticizing somebody for where they sit at on the bench. At the end of the day, who cares? Who cares where they sit at on the bench? Now you're just nitpicking. Now you're just being petty. That's nonsense to me. But you know what? It's all good. Get all the hate and all the trash talk out right now. Bring all the smoke. Because come next year, LeBron James and the Lakers, they got something for y'all. Now, I'm not a Lakers fan, but I'm definitely a LeBron fan. And my dog is going to be back next season. What's the wave with Chef Road Daddy? Man, I love this segment because I get to talk about food, and I love talking about food. Like, I love food. That's how I got to where I was at, basically, because I just love food. And man, you know what? This is the part of the podcast, man, where I talk about wellness. I started out talking about just, physical wellness when it comes to food and nutrition and everything else. And then it kind of just morphed to just wellness across the board. Physical wellness, mental wellness, spiritual wellness, and how we can take better care of not only our bodies, but also of our minds. And, so often in this battle of the bulls, we hear of what you should eat, the kind of diets you should follow and things like that, the times of day you should eat and all this, blah, 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 blah. And you have to be careful of what you listen to and who you listen to when it comes to this aspect of your life, because there's a lot of false information out there. There's a lot of information out there, period. But with a lot of information comes a lot of false information. And there's a lot of myths out there when it comes to losing body fat and losing weight and getting yourself in better shape. Now, the last few weeks, I've talked about mental and spiritual wellness. So let me get back to the food part and the nutrition wellness that so many of you seem to love. And there's a lot of people that love this segment, and I am so glad. It seems like this segment is everybody's favorite segment, including mine. So I must be doing something right. So I love that. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to dispel a few of the most common myths when it comes to diet and nutrition. Myth number 1, eating a lot of fats makes you fat. And this isn't all the way true, because there's good fats or healthy fats, and then, of course, there's the bad fat. Now, the healthy fats, they're things like, fish oil, peanut butter, lean proteins, and things like that. Those are your good, healthy fats. Those are the foods that those are the kind of healthy fats that the body needs for its basic functions. Now, when I say like bad fatty foods, I'm talking about, foods that have a lot of sugar, a lot of carbs, a lot of fatty protein, etc. Those are the foods that will make your body fat levels rise. Now, when it comes to fat, if you're eating more calories than you're burning, you're going to gain weight. That's just how body weight and body fat works. If you're eating more than what you're burning, you're going to gain weight. Weight loss at its core is simply burning more calories than you take in. No matter what diet, no matter what nutrition plan you're on, it is simply burning more calories than you take in. And when it comes down to these diets, be careful of these fad diets. Now, right now, the big diet out right now is the keto diet. And I'm not on the keto diet. I don't know a whole lot about the keto diet. I haven't done a whole lot of research on it. I mean, from the little bit that I have read and heard about the keto diet, it's basically, high fats and low carbs from what I understand. Now, I could be wrong on that, but that's the understanding that I've got on the keto diet. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the keto diet. All I'm saying is that if you're going to follow the keto diet or any diet, make sure you do your research fully and 100%. Now, I remember back in like the early 2000s, the late 90s, there was the Atkins diet, the high protein, low carbs or no carbs. There was that diet. Then there was the South Beach diet a few years ago. So every once in a while we'll go through these phases where there's these fad diets, and that's okay. But make sure you're doing your research when it comes to these diets, because these diets will affect everybody differently. Everybody, there's different body types. What works for one person may not work for you. Some people can take in more protein than others. Some people may need more carbs than others. Some people may have to eat for their blood type. There's genetics and everything else that comes into play when you're talking about nutrition and things like that, because this is what fuels your body. So do your research. And really, if you don't know where to start, talk to dietitians or nutritionists and see what works for you and your body type. I cannot stress that enough, because some people, keto may not be good for some people. Keto may not be good for some people. High protein may not be good for some people. And on any diet, whatever you're doing, make sure you're drinking a lot of water, because when you take in these diets, a lot of times they can affect the way your organs and things like that function, because you may not be taking in as much of, like carbohydrates, or you may be taking in more protein than you normally would. And that, if you're not drinking enough water, that puts more strain on your kidneys to filter out all this stuff. So be sure to drink a lot of water no matter what diet or nutrition plan that you're on. And then when it comes down to burning calories, man, keep track of your calories. I don't know if I've said it a whole lot on this podcast, but when it comes down to fat, 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. So just remember that 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories. And that's when you'll want to keep track of that when you're talking about keeping track of your calories and being in a caloric maintenance level or your caloric deficit and things like that. That's where all of that comes into play. So, go talk to a dietitian, go talk to a nutritionist, especially if you don't know where to start, especially if you're just beginning on your journey, and just take it from there. Now, when it comes to body fat, to lose body fat, you have to burn it, plain and simple. You burn body fat by exercising, of course, and cutting out a lot of the trashy food. Now, healthy fats are okay to eat. Healthy fats, your body needs healthy fats for some of its most basic functions. So healthy fats are good. Bad fats are bad. And remember, all fats are not bad fats. So just remember that. Myth number 2, the idea that you can't eat past a certain time or you'll gain weight. You need to kill this myth right now. Kill it right now. Get it out of your mentality. Get it out of your mind. Kill it. I don't know. I really don't know where this myth originated from, but kill it. And here's why this myth is exactly a myth. If you're within your caloric maintenance level or you're well below your limit, if you're in a caloric deficit, your body will utilize those calories no matter what time you consume the meal. And here's the thing. The time of day doesn't set off a magic trigger or a magic alarm for your body to start accumulating body fat. It doesn't say, my body doesn't say, hey, it's 9:30 p.m. So, if Ro goes and eats a piece of chicken, then I'm not going to utilize those calories. I'm going to turn it into body fat. That's not how it works. I mean, if I'm below my caloric maintenance level or if I'm below my caloric deficit when it comes to my limit, then if I eat that piece of chicken or if I eat some Brussels sprouts or whatever, it's not going to do anything to me. My body's going to utilize those and it's going to burn them off. You don't accumulate body fat unless you eat the wrong foods or you don't exercise enough. The time of consumption of said food does not matter whatsoever. And this is the way you have to think about it. The same way, it's just like before you got on to your weight loss journey or your body fat journey, whatever journey you're on, before you got onto it, if you ate junk food, it didn't matter if you eat the junk food at 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 12 p.m., 8 p.m., 11 p.m., doesn't matter what time of day you eat that food, because of what that food is made of, sugar, carbs, whatever, because of this junk food, well, your body's going to use it and it's going to accumulate it as junk food. I mean, that's just what it is. Doesn't matter what time you eat the food. Well, the same thing goes if you're eating wholesome and nutritious food. Doesn't matter if you eat it at 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., 11 p.m. If it's wholesome food, if it's nutritious food and you're below your caloric maintenance level or your caloric deficit, then your body's going to take those calories and it's going to utilize them as it needs to. So again, the time of consumption doesn't matter so much as what you're consuming. That's really what it boils down to on this myth. The time of consumption does not matter as much as what you're consuming. Another reason why you want to toss this myth to the nutritional garbage is you don't want to be in a low blood sugar state when you're trying to optimize your body's function or level of focus in your daily life. So in other words, you need to eat. In order for your body and your brain to function optimally, you need to eat. Don't starve yourself thinking that that's how you're going to lose weight, because it's not. The worst thing you can do when you're trying to lose weight, when you're trying to lose body fat, is not eat. You have to eat. It's just like, the best example I can give is just like a car. In order for a car to function optimally, in order for a car to do what you need it to do, which is to get you from point A to point B, you have to give your car fuel. Fuel is what drives the engine. So it's just like with your body. In order for your body to function across daily life and do the things that you need for it to do, you have to give your body fuel. And you fuel your body by what you eat with. So if you give your body bad fuel, then of course you'll function, but you're just not going to function as optimally as you would if you gave it good fuel. That's really it. That's really it, point blank. So again, don't starve yourself thinking that, the less you eat, the more fat you're going to burn. Because at the end of the day, what actually happens is when you eat less food and you're not eating enough food, your body will actually go into survival mode. And it actually has the reverse effects when you don't eat enough, because your body tends to hold on to the fat and the calories that's already in your body. And, it wants to use them as fuel and energy. It has to get that fuel and energy from somewhere just for basic body function. So if you're not eating enough and giving it enough fuel, then it's going to hold on to the fat cells and everything else that's already in your body. And it's going to make your weight loss progress even harder and even slower. Now, if you want to lose weight, or at the very least maintain your current weight, you need to eat. Point blank. When you eat, it provides the necessary sugar levels in your blood to maintain at a good level for optimal brain function. And I've made that mistake before where I didn't pack enough food for throughout the day, and I got one of those headaches from having low blood sugar. And let me tell you, man, those low blood sugar headaches are pesky. And if you don't take care of them, man, if you don't eat and give your body enough blood sugar to get back to its optimal function, man, look, those blood sugar headaches will linger for a good part of the day, and they are pesky and they are painful. So yeah, whatever you do, make sure you're eating enough food. Myth number 3, and this is the one that really gets me. Supplements will get me ripped. And this could not be more wrong. Wrong. All caps. WRONG. Wrong. You cannot go along with this mentality and expect to see results. And here's the thing, man. Fat burners and protein shakes, they won't do the work for you at all. And for me personally, when it comes to protein shakes, I don't drink protein shakes because, man, no matter what brand of protein that I've ever tried, my body does not agree with protein shakes, because every time I drink one, or every time in the past when I would drink one, it would sit in my stomach and it made me feel like I had to vomit. Like, it made me feel like I had to throw up. And I felt like that for a few hours on end. And it just, me and protein shakes, we do not agree. And, some people, it makes them gassy. Some people, they make them go to the restroom more frequently. Me personally, it didn't do nothing. It didn't do any of that for me. It just made me feel nauseous, which was, once my stomach is messed up, I ain't no good. So for me, I don't take protein shakes. I get all my protein from food: chicken, turkey, egg, fish. That's really where I get all my protein from. I'll have the occasional steak because I do love steak, but steak is high in calories, so I do have to kind of watch that. But getting back to these supplements, man, I can't tell you how many people I see taking these supplements and they're not exercising, thinking that the supplement itself will burn the fat for them. And that's simply not how it works. A supplement is exactly what it says in its name. It's a supplement. If you're not exercising or you're not following a sound nutrition plan, then basically those supplements, they're formulated for people who are exercising hard, who are following a sound nutrition plan. And if you're not doing any of those, then all you're doing is taking in extra calories and things that your body really won't need, because it's not doing what it needs to do in order for those supplements to come in and do their job. So basically, if you're taking supplements and you're not exercising properly and you're not following a sound nutrition plan, you're wasting your time, because with those supplements, you're just taking in extra calories and extra things that your body just doesn't need. Or another thing that I see all over social media, these wraps and these flat tummy teas and everything and all this, that's all over social media promising to burn all this fat off of you with minimal effort. Bull jive. Point blank, period. That's not how it works. Dedication, consistency, change of habits, change of mentality, and hard work is the only way to lose fat. Or if you're trying to gain muscle, that's the only way to do it. You're not going to, wrap something around your waist. You're not going to take this tea. Now, if you take those flat tummy teas, it may have some stuff in there to kind of clean out your system and make you go, may clean you out. And you may have to go, take a few dumps, but that's about it. It's not going to give you it's not going to give you that major weight loss that you're looking for. I think they help remove bloatiness and things like that, which that's cool. But if you're looking for, hardcore weight loss, hardcore body fat loss, that ain't the way to do it. And I don't want to sound like I'm just going off on people who sell these wraps and things like that. I'm not doing that. I've never used one, so I can't say, it may be good for a short-term fix or removing some of the water weight from your body. I think they help with that. But with these wraps specifically, the thing that I don't like about these wraps is they tend to have people thinking that if they wrap them around their midsection, it tends to make people think that it's going to shrink their belly. And that's simply not how it works, because spot reduction in and of itself is a myth. Your body does not spot reduce. Whenever you start losing body fat, whenever you're exercising, following this nutrition plan, and you're losing body fat, your body just doesn't lose in one particular section of the body, because your body, when it starts using these fat cells and converting them into energy and burning them off, and you're losing this fat, your body pulls the fat from everywhere. It pulls it from your face, from your arms, your legs, your midsection, your chest, your back, your hips, your thighs, your calves, even your feet. Wherever you have fat that the body can use for energy when you're burning all this off, that's where it's going to pull it from. So yeah, don't get into the idea of spot reduction, because spot reduction doesn't happen. Well, I guess I can't say it doesn't happen, because it does. If you take plastic surgery or something like that, then yeah, you could have spot reduction. But if you're in the gym and you're losing all this weight naturally, spot reduction generally doesn't happen. Now, if you're lifting weights and you're putting a lot of focus on one part of the body, like if you're doing a lot of arm workouts or a lot of upper body workouts, then yeah, you'll gain mass and you'll gain muscle in that particular part of the body that you're working out. But if you're not working out other parts of the body, then you're really gonna just look deformed. So if you're doing a lot of emphasis on upper body, but you're not working out your legs, you're going to be all big up top, but then you're going to have chicken legs, and that don't look right. But back to supplements. Supplements are meant to supplement what you're already doing. Now, if a good nutrition plan is in place, then supplements can have a big impact on body fat loss. Now, I personally don't take any supplements outside of a multivitamin. I take those Alive for Men, those gummy multivitamins by Nature's Made. I love those little things because it gives me all my vitamins, all my minerals, all my nutrients. At the same time, they're gummy, and they make me think they basically make it feel like I'm eating gummy bears. So I love those little things, man. So Nature's Made, those are live for men. You can't beat them. If you're looking for a multivitamin, which I encourage everybody, men and women, to take a multivitamin, especially if you're working out hard, because a lot of times what happens when you're working out hard and you're sweating and you're losing all these minerals, you're losing all these nutrients, you have to have a way to get those back into your body. And you're not going to get all those vitamins and minerals from food. I mean, the average person can't eat enough food to get all the vitamins and minerals that your body truly needs. And I know for me personally, before I started taking these vitamins about a year and a half, about 2 years ago, when I was vitamin deficient, I noticed I started hitting a point when I started working out hard. I noticed I wasn't sleeping well at all. I mean, I would sleep maybe 3 or 4 hours in the night, and I would wake up throughout the night, and there were times I couldn't really fall asleep. And man, by the time once I started taking these vitamins and really getting all my vitamins and my mineral levels up, it was night and day, man. I started sleeping well. I started sleeping harder, and I started sleeping longer. Now I get anywhere from 6 to 8 hours of sleep like you need to. So yeah, you definitely want to take your vitamins and your minerals. Get those multivitamins, because I can't really tell you which supplements to take and which not to take, because I really don't take a lot of supplements. But I will say, when it comes to supplements, do your research. Research when it comes to these supplements, because this is something that you're putting inside your body. And, especially like with these pre-workouts, I see a lot of people take pre-workout. I don't deal with pre-workout because a lot of them have extra amounts of caffeine and sugars and stimulants, and I just really don't want to deal with any of that. I remember I took a pre-workout one time a few years ago, and it made me feel jittery, and I had the shakes after the workout, and that was not a good feeling. And it made my heart beat, it made my heart rate elevated. And I really hadn't been working out all that hard. So, I said, I would never do that again. And really with those pre-workouts, man, you have to be careful, because there has been documented cases of people actually dying from taking those pre-workouts, because, if there's a lot of stimulants, a lot of caffeine, a lot of sugar and things like that, where your heart rate's already going to be elevated from the exercise as it is. But when you have that kind of stuff that's meant to elevate it even more, then you run the risk of overworking your heart. And when you overexert your heart, bad things can happen. So be careful when it comes to pre-workouts. Be careful when it comes to supplements. Do your research. If you're going to take like a pre-workout or something like that to really kind of get your body going, make sure you get one that has either low amounts of caffeine and stimulants or no caffeine or stimulants. If you can find a natural, organic pre-workout, which they do have them, they're pricey, but they do have them. If you can find a natural or organic pre-workout, go that route. And that goes for any supplement. I mean, if you can find the more natural, the more organic content that you can get in supplements, the better. So I say all that to say this: when it comes to supplements, do your research and put that hard work in. Supplements supplement what you're already doing. Supplements supplement your exercise and your nutrition, not the other way around. So if you're looking for supplements to be the main reason that you lose body fat, you're looking in the wrong direction. The only way to change your body is to change the way you operate and change the way you think, which all comes from changing your mind. And in the final segment of this 45th episode of the Undrafted podcast, this is some bull jive. A December video of Blake Griffin getting into an altercation with a Timberwolves fan in the wake of Russell Westbrook defending himself against some Utah Jazz fans a few weeks ago, after they said some things with some racial undertones to him a few weeks back, has many people calling for the NBA to do something about overly rowdy and disrespectful fans. Now, in the Blake Griffin video, Blake is seen basically trying to make his way to the stands to confront the fan after the fan called him boy. And you have to understand the historical connotations behind the word boy when it comes to a black man. Now, Blake Griffin, if you don't know, he's multiracial. He's mixed with black and white. Now, the historical connotations that come along when a white person calls a black man boy is not good. And if you understand the historical connotations behind that, you will understand why Blake Griffin was so enraged when this fan called him boy. And if Griffin would have gotten to that fan point blank, it would have been lights out. Now, the fan was escorted out of the arena, so, thankfully for that. But I don't blame Blake Griffin or Russell Westbrook at all for what either of them did. And the thing with Russell Westbrook, the fan said to him, get back on your knees like you used to. And if you understand the historical connotations behind that, when a white person says that to a black person or a black man, then you'll understand why Russell Westbrook was as outraged as he was. But, what the thing is with these two incidents, it never should have came to this. Now, the NBA, they really need to do something about the fans when it comes to trash talking athletes like this because, I don't mind trash talk. I don't mind heckling. There's difference between trash talk and being personal and racial. Now, trash talk is cool. That's all part of it. That's a part of the game. That's part of the essence. It's part of the fun of going to these sports arenas. Now, I personally don't get anything out of trash talking these athletes because I played sports. I was an athlete in school, so I know how hard it is to play these sports. I know what it takes to get out here in front of all these people. And if you have a bad night, if you don't play well, I know how hard that can be. So me personally, I don't take anything out of trash talking athletes. Now, I'll trash talk other fans, but I have my limits when it comes to trash talk. I'll respectfully trash talk you and joke around and everything else. And I'm okay if you do that with me. Now, I'm not going to get personal or racial with you. I expect the same thing when it comes to stuff like that. But in Russell's case, it tripped me out when I saw the video because in Russell's case, he told this fan basically on everything I love, if you don't stop messing with me, I'm going to F you up. So when he said on everything I love, I knew it was serious because in the black community, when we say something, when we tell you on everything I love, stop doing whatever it is that you're doing, we giving you, that's the warning shot. Like, we letting you know, like, bruh, you got one more time to disrespect me in the manner that you disrespecting me, and I'm going to have to take this a step further. And then he messed around and he said, on my mama. Now, when a black person says, on my mama, you in trouble. I mean, point blank, period. I mean, putting something on your mama is basically letting you know, like, look, circumstances are not, like, suspension, whatever kind of punishment I may get is all out the window because we about to move some furniture in here. So when Russ was saying that, like, I knew it was bad. And then, when the fan came out and he tried to say, he was saying, put some ice on your knees, bro, and this and that and the other. Bull jive, bruh. Stop it. And then when you go back and you look at his Twitter, he had some racial things on his Twitter, and then he went and tried to clean all that up. So if you weren't guilty, why are you going and cleaning up your Twitter? But, enough about that aspect of it. Here's the thing, man. This is not the first time that these kinds of incidents have happened in the NBA, especially up there in Utah. I mean, Russell Westbrook and other black NBA players have said, numerous occasions that in that particular arena that they've been called, racial slurs and everything else when they walk out on the floor. Also up in Minnesota, that's not the first time something like that has happened. I mean, these things happen across all sports all too often, unfortunately. Basketball is unique in the fact that it's the only professional sport that lets the fans get as close to the players as they do. Now, with these fans, they talk this bull jive because they know that, hey, this is a professional athlete. He can't say or do anything to me right now, and I can get away with this. So let me just take it a step further and let me say this or let me say that and try to get a rise out of them. They know that these guys really can't do anything to them without risking severe punishment. So these fans, some of them feel like they can say whatever they want to say, but the reality is if these fans saw these athletes in the street, they wouldn't say anything to them, or they would be, kissing their butt, basically, or they would be kissing up to them, because in reality, these fans don't want to smoke with these athletes. I mean, they just don't. But here's the thing, outside of that, here's the thing. Just because you paid money to go to a game does not give you the right to talk reckless. It doesn't give you the right to act reckless. It doesn't give you the right to even touch these athletes. Now, you pay money to be entertained and get access to the game for said entertainment, but you still have to act like you have some home training. You still have to conduct yourself in a decent manner. I mean, at the end of the day, how hard is it to go to a game, enjoy the game, and then leave? I mean, if you want to go to the section where the athletes walk out and, they'll sign autographs, they'll shake your hand. Some of them even take pictures. Okay, that's cool. Because in that environment, the athlete is saying, hey, I'm right here. I'll sign autographs. You can shake my hand. You can touch. I don't mind being touched. I'll take pictures with you, this and that and the other. In that environment, that's cool because they've given you permission to interact with them on that level. But in a way, like these fans were interacting with Russ and Blake Griffin, that's not cool. It's not cool and it's disrespectful. And at the end of the day, the NBA, maybe the NBA needs to enforce even stricter penalties on fans. Now, I know the fan up in Utah, he was banned for life from that particular arena. The fan at the Timberwolves game that called Blake Griffin a boy, he was escorted out of the game. So it looks like the NBA is kind of starting to, crack down on this issue, and thankfully so. But I mean, this happens across all professional sports leagues, not just the NBA. Well, it happens across sports at all levels, not just the professional levels. I mean, you're always going to have those people that take it too far. Because like I said, there's a difference between trash talking and heckling and just being racial and personal. If these fans would have said something like, Russ, you trash, or, Blake, you suck, something like that, both of those dudes, they wouldn't have had no issue with it. They're professional athletes. They know that comes with the territory. In Russ's case, he actually likes stuff like that. He feeds off of stuff like that. He loves it when fans say that kind of stuff to him, because Russ is known as a villain on the court. On the court, he's a villain, and sports needs a villain. But, in his everyday life, Russell Westbrook, I almost said Russell Wilson. Russell Westbrook, he's a family man. He's got a wife, kids, the whole nine, does a lot for charity. I mean, he's a good dude off the court. Blake Griffin, he's a really laid back, really mellow dude. I know a lot of people that have met Blake Griffin, and every last one of them talk about how nice and how soft-spoken he is and everything else. So, for those kinds of guys, for them to come unglued like this, you knew it was bad. And like I say, you need villains, and when it comes to sports, because nobody wants a sports league full of choir boys and yes men. I mean, nobody wants that. The villain, the bad boy on the court, they bring some spark, they bring some fire, and I love it. And especially with Russell Westbrook, man, I love Russell Westbrook's game because, man, you're going to get your money's worth with this dude. I mean, this dude brings the fire every night. I love Blake Griffin's game. I mean, when he hits those Blake dunks, when he hits those dunks and then he does the Blake face, like, I love it. But one thing fans have to realize with this new age athlete, these fans don't want to smoke with these new age athletes, because these new age athletes are letting it be known that they're not going to take this stuff sitting down. So now the NBA, they may not have another Malice at the Palace, but these new age athletes are letting these fans know, look, you can bring that smoke if you want to, but you mess around. If you want to smoke, you might just mess around and get it. Fans, being disrespectful and doing the most and with the name calling and everything else at these games, that's that bull jive. Well, that's my time for episode 45 of the Undrafted podcast. I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for blessing me with the gifts, talents, and the resources to do this podcast. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to tune in. And remember, you can catch the Undrafted podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Podcast, and iTunes. Also, you can follow the Undrafted Podcast on Instagram at the Undrafted Podcast or on Twitter at Row4ShowPro. The Bible verse that I'll leave you with on today is Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your needs according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Remember, do your best and let God handle the rest. Be blessed.